Welcome from the Jeddah Street Circuit for what we hope is going to be a gripping spectacle of racing. It's time to get underway as we join the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah Street Circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. An immense lap from Fernando Alonso yesterday puts him on pole position, just edging out Alex Albon, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Tsunoda, Verstappen, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Bottas, Leclerc, Hamilton, De Vries, Joe, Sainz, Ocon, Russell, Magnussen, Gasly, Norris, Perez, Oscar Piastri, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
The formation lap gets underway and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure that their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out. We're almost ready to start the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
16th. We got P16. Okay, Magnussen ahead. Okay, the gap is less than a second. They're on fresh mediums. Norris is behind you. Less than a second separates you. They're on fresh mediums. You've got 11 laps until your pit window opens, and that's 49 laps to go. DRS now enabled. DRS enabled. Ocon ahead. Okay, so the gap to the car ahead, 1.5 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Their tyres are 2 laps old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Time last lap was a 1:36.6, and you're closing by 0.4 a lap. Keep it going. Trailing our teammate by 9.2 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. They're in first. And the time last lap was a 1:34.9. Okay, good work. Great pass. Okay, Russell's ahead. And gap to the car in front is 0.8 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Okay, they've got 4 laps on their tyres. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Your last lap time was a 1:35.1. Okay, dropping back by around 0.4 a lap. Give it everything you got. 12. Bottas is ahead of you now. Okay, the gap is less than a second. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, Russell's behind you now. They're on fresh mediums. Our gap to first place is 8.8 seconds. Your pit window will be open in 7 laps time. We've still got 45 laps to complete here. Just ahead, push hard. Okay, gap ahead is 1.0 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Okay, their tyres are 7 laps old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Time last lap was a 1 minute 36.1. 1.2 seconds advantage per lap. Keep going. Try to stay with them. We might make a mistake and we could still regain the position. you're in ninth position. That's Joe just ahead. Push for that position. Less than a second separates you. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, Hulkenberg's behind you now. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, so gap to the leader is 16.8 seconds. Your pit window is going to open in 3 laps time. Pit window opens in 3 laps. Okay, 41 laps to go. Approaching the pit window and you're going to be on mediums. Okay, you've taken damage to the side pods. Expect to feel a little bit more drag than normal. Okay, caution, caution. Virtual safety car is out. Reduce speed and maintain a positive delta on your dash. Okay, the virtual safety car's been deployed. Slow down and maintain a positive delta. There's been an incident resulting in a high level of debris on the track. Be careful. Okay, we've been informed due to increasing risks, they're moving from a virtual to a full safety car. Full safety car. Understood. Stopping this lap. Fernando is in for his stop. job from you and the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that. All right, we'll be doing one more stop today. One stop left in this strategy. Side pods have taken damage, you might start to pick up a little bit extra drag. Okay, the underbody's taken some damage, you might start to notice it soon. Safety car in this lap, safety car in this lap. Let's make sure those tyres are up to temperature, and remember, there's no overtaking until the timing line. Stay in position until the green flags. Overtake button more, it's time to utilise some of this energy, come on. Green flag. gap to your teammate ahead is 2.9 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. They're in second, and the time last lap was a 2:16.4. Tsunoda ahead. Okay, the gap is less than a second. They're on fresh softs. Their tyres are 3 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Your last lap time was a 1:35.1. Okay, you're dropping back by around 0.2 each lap. Okay, the underbody's taken some damage. You might start to notice it soon. DRS has been enabled. DRS is now enabled. You sat in P8. Well done. Okay, that's Tsunoda just ahead. Come on, push hard. Less than a second separates you. They're on fresh softs. That's Hulkenberg behind. Okay, the gap is less than a second. They're on fresh softs. Distance to the leader is 5.9 seconds. Pit window opens in 12 laps time. 12 laps. 34 laps to go. Okay, we lost the position. Try to keep focus. Hulkenberg ahead of you now. Our gap to the car in front is 1.7 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Their tyres are 6 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap was a 1 minute 34.7. You're losing around 1.6 seconds. Trailing our teammate by 8.7 seconds. And you've got P7, 7th place. Hulkenberg ahead. Okay, gap to the car ahead is 1.6 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Sonoda behind. And the gap behind us is 1.4 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, gap to leader, 13.3 seconds. Okay, your pit window opens in 9 laps time. All right, 31 laps to go now. Bodywork's taken a few scrapes, try not to make it any worse please. Okay, we think the underbody's incurred some slight damage, but nothing too serious at the moment, just be careful. Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now, keep taking care of it. Behind, less than a second separates you. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 8 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. And the time last lap was a 1:34.7. Okay, so that last lap was a 1 minute 35.6. Lost some time to the car behind. Okay, focus. We need to stay on form. Okay, Hulkenberg just ahead. Push, push. Okay, the gap is less than a second. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, they've done 10 laps on those tyres. We think they've got one more stop. Your last lap time was a 1:35.8. This is excellent stuff. You're closing in by 7/10 a lap. Is 13.5 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're in third. Time last lap was a 1:34.2. running P9, keep going. And that's Hulkenberg ahead of you now. Less than a second separates you. Okay, they're on old softs. Ocon behind. Okay, the gap behind is 3.0 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Our gap to first place is 25.1 seconds. The pit window is going to open in 3 laps time. Pit window opens in 3 laps. Okay, you've got 25 laps to go. Approaching the pit window and you're going to be on mediums. Ahead of you. Okay, the gap is less than a second. Okay, they're on old softs. We think they've got one more stop. And the time last lap was a 1:36.2. Alright, you're falling back by 1/10 a lap. Fernando's in the pits. Okay, the pit window's open, so let's box this lap, box this lap. ahead of you. Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by. 12.8 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 16 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 35.2. You're losing around 7/10 a lap at this pace. Right, let's go, come on! That was a fantastic stop, faster than we were expecting. That was our last stop, no more scheduled pit stops, let's go. Ahead of you now. Okay, keep an eye on that gap ahead, please. 5.6 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Norris is behind you. Less than a second separates you. They're on fresh softs. Look after these tyres now. You want to finish the race on this compound. 21 laps to go. Our gap behind is 7.0 seconds. 7.2 seconds. Piastri's behind you now. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 7.1 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Their tyres are 3 laps old. Time last lap was a 1:33.8. Car behind's just boxed the mediums. Car behind on the medium tyre now. Okay, you're in ninth position. Norris just ahead, push for the position. Okay, the gap is less than a second. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, Sonoda's behind you. Okay, push, gap to the car behind. 6.9 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. All right, 16 laps to go. Here's some information on Russell for you. They're retiring from the race. Okay, clear. Great manoeuvre, you made it look so easy. gap to the car ahead, 11.6 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Their tyres are 8 laps old, and the time last lap was a 1 minute 33.8. We're falling back by around 1.2 seconds a lap. Come on. Gap to the car in front is 12.1 seconds. The side pods have taken damage. Keep an eye on your engine temperatures. Cooling may be adversely affected. There's damage to the underbody. Expect to feel significant effects in terms of performance. No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving. The underbody's incurred critical damage at this point. Okay, gap ahead is 13.5 seconds. Sonoda behind. Okay, car behind trailing us, 2.6 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 5 laps old. Your last lap time was a 1:33.7. Critical damage to the floor, be careful. Trailing our teammate by 36.4 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. They're in third. Time last lap was a 1 minute 33.6, 37.0 seconds. Okay, Sonoda's behind you. Less than a second separates you. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 6 laps old. And the time last lap was a 1:33.9. That's P7 now, P7, Sonoda ahead. Less than a second separates you. They're on fresh mediums. Ocon's behind you. Okay, gap to the car behind. 2.0 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. Okay, we're into the last 10 laps now. Try to stay with them. They might make a mistake and we could still regain the position. That's 8th place. You're in 8th place. Ocon is ahead of you. They're on old mediums. Piastri's behind. We're leading the car behind by 7.9 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. 9 laps to go. Behind. And the gap behind us is 6.0 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 8 laps old. Your last lap time was a 1:33.8. Okay, you've taken damage to the side pods. Expect to feel a little bit more drag than normal. Just be warned, the underbody is showing heavy damage. Tyre condition still looking good. Managing your tyres, manage your tyres. That's Gasly ahead. Okay, the gap is less than a second. They're on old mediums. Piastri's behind you now. Okay, the gap behind is 3.5 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. All right, 6 laps to go now. Yellow flag. Flag. Our gap to the car in front is 2.5 seconds. No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving. Piastri's behind. Our gap behind is 1.7 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Their tyres are 16 laps old. Time last lap was a 1:35.1. Okay, we lost the position, trying to keep focus. That's just 5 laps of fuel remaining. Side pods have taken damage, you might start to pick up a little bit extra drag. There's been some damage to the underbody, expect the car to feel some impact. Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them. Start losing some tyre grip anytime now. We've got enough fuel for 3 more laps. We've only got 2 laps of fuel left. All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everybody at the team. So let's review the updated driver standings. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
Often my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. It was also a strong Grand Prix from Haas F1 this weekend. Fantastic work from the American team to move themselves further up the table. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.